We start on a street in black and white. A truck with Los Angeles plates. But not just any truck. This is the coroner. We're going to the morgue to speak to a dead man. But not just any dead man. No, this is an old-time movie director. One of the biggest. This is an autopsy of Billy Wilder. Uncovering Billy's story means looking at contrasts. From the ruins of Berlin to the mansions of Beverly Hills. From Double Indemnity to Some Like It Hot. What's at the core of Billy Wilder? What drove the artist who created Ace in the Hole and The Apartment? If we look past the black and white photography, move beyond the awards, strip away decades of Hollywood stories, and turn off the studio lights, will we find the real Billy Wilder? Well, where'd be the fun in that?
Well, hello, how are you?
If they catch me once more, they're gonna kick me out of the bank.
Take your cap off.
Maybe if I wore it a little more to one side. How's that? Is that better?
Mr. Wilder, thanks for joining us. Let me start by asking, how do you find life in the grave?
Well, it's small, but it's gemütlich, as we say. But I do have another room there. Go and look.
Really?
It's for my secretary.
You're from Vienna, but your film career started in Berlin. Did your generation find one city more interesting than the other?
Well, it depends. You see, the younger ones, naturally, they preferred Berlin because that was the vibrant, modern city, especially the period where I lived there between 1927 and 1933. Those were 1926. They were the 7 great years, of Bert Brecht and of Schönberg and of the Bauhaus, and things were happening.
So what was Berlin like in those 7 years?
Well, we were young and jazz came up and people started dancing the Charleston Gardens. And I was one of those, and since I was kind of a fairly good dancer, and since times were tough, I did a stint as what you would now laughingly call a gigolo, kind of a dancer for money.
We don't want to share this night with other people. This is for you and me.
Oh?
Hold me tighter.
Okay.
It was not quite as romantic as it sounds. Actually, I did it in order to write a series of articles on what it is to be a gigolo in Berlin. And it sort of made a bit of a scandal.
Pinch me, darling. Pinch me so I'll know I'm not dreaming.
Is there a reason you made so few musicals?
I never made a musical in my life. I never should. It's not my bag.
Another icon from Berlin at that time was Marlene Dietrich, who you directed several times. What was your relationship like?
She was just an old pal of 35 years. And we talked often about illusion and truth, illusion, what you see on the screen or in the theater, when she comes with the boas and with the thing, and it's just all bullshit, To me, she was more like a man,
In terms of shooting, is there anything in particular you look for when setting up a scene?
Whether it's possible to photograph it, you cannot photograph certain things unphotographable. No, I don't indulge in camera tricks.
You don't like shots that call attention to themselves.
You will never see a surprising shot
no, as simple as possible. We should not see where the cut was.
What is the most important thing when it comes to directing for an audience?
How do you wake them up? How do you make sure that they understand what you want to tell them? You know what I mean? How do you direct their eyes to that thing? How do you make them remember? And it has to be done. The subtler you are, the more elegantly you do it, the better a director you are.
All right.
You worked with the UFA Company in Berlin and in Hollywood from the studio golden age to the late 70s. Would you have preferred to have made films totally independently?
Are you out of your mind? Are you kidding? For Christ's sake, I'm going to leave myself wide open to actors, to executives. For Christ's sake, what do you think? I'm a sucker for a punch? I'm a masochist? No. I would like to get as much money as I possibly can from those people because they're trying to get for as little money as they can. They get me, right?
Mr. Boot, I'm a $250 a week newspaper man. I can be had for $50.
Why are you so good to me?
Was telling the truth important in choosing the kind of films you wanted to make?
I'm just trying to make a living. Get 2 hours of film and I don't really give a shit whether how true it is, how great it is. Just get it over with. Print that. The release, no shot, nothing, just a blind going up. In case you're wondering when you hear this transcription, if you can understand what I'm talking about.
I honestly could not point my finger at any small incident even in those pictures which would reflect my background and where I come from. Maybe I'm unconscious of that. Maybe I had Americanized myself. Because one thing I hate more than being ignored is being taken too seriously. I've never taken myself as seriously.
We are just sort of jerking off, as we say.